100 subscribers. Thank you, honestly. I know it's not the biggest milestone, but it means a lot personally. Having started this channel not that long ago and not knowing how the videos would be perceived and what people's reaction would be, it was very much stepping into the unknown. And if you have started a channel of your own, you'll understand what the uncertainty feels like. But I really wanted to create Single Mother Adonis for that young man who has been lost like me and is struggling with his masculinity, his identity as a boy, as a man, and hasn't had the father, the male role model in his life to guide him. He's just seen the perspective of a single mother, which, props to our mothers for raising us, but it can definitely be skewed. And and I've gone through it as well, the challenges that not having that father figure brings, whether that's in your dating life, your social circle, your traditional masculine skills that you should possess, but you don't because your father was never around to teach you them. Maybe you have more of a feminine character and you've been living your life as a nice guy. And that's held you back personally and professionally. So this really is an attempt to make a small contribution to this sphere of, rather, this segment of men who is really very large, those raised by single mothers, because I don't feel like it's received enough attention, enough traction on the internet, in the media, in pop culture, especially when you compare it to the size of the issue that it has become. When you look at all these statistics related to crime, drug use, educational underachievement, it's quite crazy to think that the far-reaching consequences haven't truly come to the attention of the general public, at least not enough to take action on them and to start these conversations around how we integrate fathers into boys' lives and how you support these young men who haven't had that father figure in the home. So I suppose this channel is just my small contribution to that effort to starting these conversations. My parents got divorced when I was 4 years old, and thereafter I would only see my dad once every couple of weeks and sometimes just once a month. And as a result, and you might be able to relate to this, we never developed that deep father-son relationship where I would openly share everything with him and he would give me genuine advice, based on what I was going through at that point in life. In fact, most of the advice that he would give me back then boiled down to be good and listen to your mother. And this is something that pretty much my entire family, on my mom and dad's side, would say, as well as other close friends. So I just grew up with this reinforcement that, okay, all I need to do is be good, be well behaved, be kind, be nice, and listen to whatever my mother has to say. That was just so reinforced as a message in my mind that I'd built her up into this supreme figure of authority that I could never ever cross, no matter what my own judgment was telling me. This might sound very familiar. Maybe this has been your experience as well. And it essentially leads to you being unable to make your own decisions, as we grow up into teenagers and young adults. And that was a very difficult cycle for me to break. Just the sheer anxiety of overstepping my mother's wishes was, honestly, it took a lot of bravery. And I have to say that, to this day, while I do it much better, and I like to think that I go to a point where I do make my own decisions and I have that autonomy in my own mind, it still gives me a degree of there's this pang of sort of anxiety every time I do something that I know is going to go against her. That reflex is still there because it's so deeply ingrained after all those years of reinforcement. And this might be something that's really holding you back right now. So, if you are fighting this, then I fully relate to your situation because I know it's really fucking difficult to overcome. My mother did a lot of good things raising me, one of those things was always encouraging me to have a positive relationship with my dad. She was very supportive of me seeing him more and speaking with him. So that was healthy. She also took great care to keep me away from bad influences by actually treating me as an adult with a lot of respect and telling me about all the pitfalls that teenage years tend to bring. So we had very frank conversations about drugs, alcohol, and I think as a result of that, partially I was able to avoid all of those problems. I never fully descended into being a degenerate. Sure, I would go up and party, but things like drugs and alcohol abuse to the point of being sick and passing out, I managed to avoid. And I think a lot of that was to do with her upbringing. She also taught me a lot of emotional intelligence, So now I'm at a point where I'm able to pick up on social cues very well. And I think, it's also helped me to manage my interactions with women in my relationships. So a lot of good things came out of it, but for sure the masculine essence was lacking, and that's probably your experience as well with your single mother. She had a very strong character, and she still does, but didn't really encourage me to develop that strong character, at least not through her actions, to the point where she would take things out of my hand whenever I was trying to fix something, say doing DIY around the house, or every time I failed at something or caused some injury to myself, she would prevent me from engaging in the action again. It's the typical female maternal response, and not having the father around to balance out that situation, that dynamic basically gave me more anxiety around trying new things. And only in the last couple of years have I started to become more adventurous in terms of traveling and picking up sports that might be dangerous, like more extreme hiking and like cliff diving and just all sorts of things that might be deemed riskier, martial arts more recently. I've done a lot of reading around the subject of fatherlessness, and I've come to understand the scale of the problem in terms of the effect it has on mental health, relationships, society. I thought that the lessons I had to learn the hard way without guidance could help someone else to make progress faster than I did and to avoid some of the pitfalls and suffering that I had to go through learning these lessons. And I'm not going to sit here to present myself as some sort of guru or someone who has all the answers, because the truth is, bro, I don't. I'm far from the version of the man that I want to become. So I'm very much on this journey with you, but what I can promise you is that I'm always going to be authentic, and I'm going to teach you from my own experiences as I live them, and do the best that I can to help you accelerate faster and become the version of yourself that you really want to be. That I might well end up making mistakes. In fact, I guarantee you that some of the advice I'll end up giving will not be quite accurate, and that I'll probably end up changing my perspective on certain issues, and have to make a video down the line where I say, actually guys, I thought this and I said XYZ, but actually after this experience I now believe so and so. So that's definitely going to happen, but bear with me. I'm always going to be authentic, and I will teach you things as I live them. I really think that despite being such a small channel right now, we can really do something great here. If all of these videos, if me ranting on camera and your comments end up helping one man feel understood and turn his life around and be happier and more fulfilled, then it would have been worth it. So I'd love to hear your story about being raised by a single mother and the challenges you faced with not having a father around, and how you've dealt with those challenges in the comments below. And as always, you can join our communities using the links in the description. I'll see you in the next video.